Hi everybody, Ron Chapman here, Executive Director of Games for Life. I'm bringing you our Game of the Week number 3, and I thought I would start a little bit differently. Take a quick look at the current position and see if you see the best move available for black in this game. Okay, I'll show it to you. It's Queen takes on G3, check. The king has to go into the corner, and Queen H3 mate. This possible line comes from a game I played in a couple days ago, and this was actually I was playing someone who was rated about 2100, and I'm about 1780 right now, so much higher rated player, and playing as black, so I took a couple of chances and was able to pull out a win, and I'm going to show you how I did it. So if you've seen previous videos, I just kind of run through these games fairly quickly and give you an idea of what I was thinking and what I think maybe my opponent was thinking. So here we go. Again, I'm playing black in this. So white does E4, I do E5, knight to F3, knight to F6, knight to C3, knight to C6, bishop to C4, bishop to C5. Very symmetrical game. We've done all the same moves up to this point. D3, I castle, bishop to G5. I want that bishop to go away, so I do H6, bishop to H4, bishop E7. That pin, I didn't like where that potentially was headed, so I decided to break that pin by pulling my bishop down. A3, that guards against me putting my bishop on B4. A6, same idea. I don't want him to put his bishop on B5. That's called a prophylactic move, when you make a move that prevents your opponent from potentially making a move that they want to make. And now he castles. I go to D6 with the thought of putting my bishop on G4, and so he immediately just stops that. Again, that's a prophylactic move by going H3, bishop to E6, bishop takes on F6, I take back, he takes on E6, I take back, puts his knight. I think he put his knight back here with the idea that he was going to try and push this pawn and get that open. I think was his idea behind moving that knight back there. Knight to E7, and then queen to G4, which was a good move for him because I wanted to put my knight right here, and so that not only stops me from doing that, but it also attacks this pawn. So he accomplished two things in one move. That's always good. I can protect that pawn. Queen to D7 does that. Brings the rook in. Bishop G5. Now I made that move because, like I said earlier, I thought he wanted to push this pawn down, and by having the bishop here, I keep him away from doing that for at least a move. And so he actually did what I thought he would do, and that he brings his knight back out. So he put it back in, he brings it back out, so he's kind of wasted the move, but he's attacking my bishop, and since I'm playing a much higher rated player and I'm also playing as black, I was fine if he wanted to kind of do a draw and repeat the same position a couple times. So I actually just put my bishop back where it was. If he had moved his knight back, I would have put my bishop back again. If we do a threefold repetition, I'd be fine with a draw. I'm sure I kind of knew that, as you know, again, as a high-rated player and playing white, he would not be interested in a draw. So sometimes you can think about that. You can think about whether or not your opponent is looking for a win, and sometimes people overstep and play a little too hard or play a little too aggressively if they are searching for a win. So he follows that up. He pushes H4, King H7. This, I do that so that I can eventually get my knight to this square. H5. That was interesting. He keeps my knight from here. But then I decide I'm interested in trading off. I'm taking his pawn for my pawn. So I actually go Queen to E8 with the idea that he takes on E6, and then I take back. Whoops, sorry. I take back on H5. So now we traded a pawn. But now he goes and he starts to threaten my pawns, and I don't play this very well, to be honest, but immediately I was looking at my attack. I saw that I had pretty much all my pieces were gunning for his king, so I was like, well, I can give away some pawns. I'm going to see if I can get an attack going. So I do push the pawn to b6, but then I immediately lose a pawn when he goes queen to c4. I either lose this pawn, the c7 pawn, or the a6 pawn. Sorry, c7, a6. I could put my rook here, but I really liked having my rooks connected, and I was thinking if I put my rook here, it would take a while to potentially get into the action. So again, I could have defended that pawn, or defended all my pawns, but I decided to just go for the attack. And so that, I don't know if I recommend that as an idea, but it's just what I did. So he takes the pawn, I protect the pawn. He brings his knight, and I think moving that knight there really closes in his position. I mean, he's obviously got all his pieces except for his queen around his king, which could be good defensively, but it doesn't end up working out in his favor. So I'm going to see if I can trade away that knight, get that, and then he moves his knight. So his position's pretty good. I threaten his queen, but the real purpose behind that is once he takes that pawn, I'm able to take on c2, and I like having that rook back there. There's a couple combinations I was potentially looking at. You know, rook takes, the other rook is taking that, and then potentially that leaves that knight undefended. So I really liked my position, I like my position at this point. He moves knight to f5 to attack my queen, and then I just line up my queen with his king, keep the pressure on. Rook to e3, and so I noticed that his idea was to move rook to g3 and bearing down on my queen, and so before he can do that, I threaten his queen, and then he is now actually threatening mate right here on g7 by moving his queen down. So I stopped the mate threat by moving knight to f4. And knight to f4 not only stops his mate threat, because now my queen is guarding the g7 square, but it actually also stops his if he was to move rook to g3, I would then go knight to e2, putting him in check, and when he moves out of check, I would win his rook. So so he wasn't able to make that move. So instead, so after knight f4, he pushes g3, and this was the beginning of the end for him, effectively. He can't take my knight because it's pinned down, so I can leave that knight there if I need to. So then I actually line up my rook behind my queen, which it just looks good. I didn't know where it was going to head, but I like the idea behind it. He threatens my rook. I threaten to win his knight. He puts it back. Again, if he wanted to draw, I was fine with that. He puts his rook there. Rook to f3. I check him. I check him again. Again, if he wants 3-4 repetition, I'm fine. He doesn't want it. I didn't think he did. And so then I put my knight back on h5. He threatens my rook with knight d3. I just take another pawn. He puts his rook down, and so this is where the position I showed you at the very beginning of this video. And in this position, queen takes on g3 is the winning mate position, but I actually took the knight. Didn't see it. We were both under a lot of time pressure at this point. He doesn't see it either, so he takes my knight, and then taking on g3 still works. We traded off those knights now, and all he can go is king to h1 and king to g2 mate. So that was a game, and again, the player I was playing was rated 2100. I think he's been as high as 2250, so a very, very good player. He was under time control pressure, and so was I, but I was able to get a good attack going. This rook on b2 was key to my attack, as it pinned down this pawn from recapturing, and I was able to pull out another victory. So that's a game of the week number 3. Hope you learned something. Thanks for watching. Bye.